Absolutely nothing says I'm emotionally compromised like installing a brand new gacha game, diving headfirst into its tutorial, and immediately declaring loyalty to a character whose name is something like Crimson Seraphina, Blossom of Eternal Pain, limited banner only trauma variant. Even though she's a sword-wielding vampire nun with 3 lines of dialogue and a passive skill called Heaven's Booty Wrath. And the devs know. They release trailers that look like a Studio Trigger fight scene mixed with a perfume ad, and you go, I have to get her. I don't care if my rent is late, I need the angsty Megnon. New gacha games are digital sirens that lure you in with flashing banners, ethereal OSTs, and characters with 16 layers of emotional damage, and you'll happily slam your soul into the summon button like it owes you money. You'll pull, you'll simp, you'll scream. You'll fall in love with a PNG so hard you'll consider learning Japanese just to understand her idle quotes. And when the pity system screws you over one last time, you'll whisper, okay, but the next banner, for real this time. That's us as gacha gamers, and that's a scenario you've no doubt witnessed firsthand. Are you ready to dive headfirst into bankruptcy? Because I am. And here are 11 games releasing in 2025 and beyond that'll get you to financial ruin before the year's end. Ananta is what you'd get if Grand Theft Auto and Spider-Man got drunk at an anime convention, hooked up in a back alley, and 9 months later spat out a cel-shaded monstrosity with a gambling addiction. You're an elite ACD agent, anti-chaos directorate, ooh, spooky. Dropped in a Nova City, a sun-drenched urban hellhole where the streets are crawling with paranormal freaks and toilets with legs. Yeah, toilets that run at you like deranged Roomba demons. This ain't your Genshin waifu picnic. It's a rule-breaking, brain-melting sandbox where you're swinging between skyscrapers like a knockoff Spider-Man, hijacking cars for GTA-style joyrides, and beating the snot out of enemies with yo-yos, mallets, and whatever else your gacha overlords let you pull. The world's a shiny, anime-fied fever dream, beaches, clubs, libraries, all stitched together beautifully so you never know what fresh hell's around the corner. It's a psychotic roller coaster, fast-paced combat where you're flipping between a squad of 4 cosplayers fresh out of an anime expo, chaining combos and dodging chainsaw-armed cars. Swing across the skyline, ride a bike made from a giant hammer, thanks Daffy, you freak. Or just sprint through traffic, flipping off pedestrians, stamina's for suckers, and this game knows it. Ananta is a chaotic mashup of urban swagger and supernatural lunacy. Think Zenless Zone Zero and a cocaine blender, but with less plot and more, what the fuck is that toilet doing? Arknights Endfield is a glorified disaster management simulator where you build a base, fight space diseases, and command a battalion of emotionally complex fashion models with war crimes on their resume. It's still Arknights, but now it's 3D, more open world, and even more aggressively philosophical about industrial despair, colonial trauma, and the ethics of mining in a dying world full of eldritch space fungus. You're not just a commander now, you're an intergalactic project manager, except instead of spreadsheets you manage hyper-advanced war operators, alien biome outbreaks, and a logistics department that probably prays to a rusty vending machine shaped like a deity. And you fight, what, plague monsters, geopolitical ghosts, existential pollution? Operators are peak Arknights, beautifully designed, clinically depressed, dressed like tactical runway models. It features real-time combat, building outposts, exploring a cursed planet like you're doing urban planning inside a Junji Ito comic. Arknights Endfield is a gacha game for people who want to manage a war-torn space colony, cry about philosophy, pull for a sniper who quotes poetry while vaporizing tectonic beasts, and feel deep existential arousal from supply chain optimization. It's beautiful, it's cursed, it's industrial. Before we go any further, I do want to take a moment here to thank all of my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are absolutely phenomenal, and I genuinely cannot thank you all enough for the support. Azur Promilia is the unholy love child of Genshin Impact and Palworld, birthed in a sweaty basement by the maniacs at Manju. You know, the Azure Lane freaks who spent years perfecting the art of waifu warfare. This is a deranged fever dream where you're a starborn dropped into a glitter-dusted fantasy hellscape teeming with magic, civilizations, and creatures so cute you'll want to bunt them into orbit. It's a sprawling open-world action RPG where you're not just collecting loot, you're hoarding an army of fluffy pets like a doomsday prepper with a Pokemon obsession. These little bastards fight for you, they fetch your crap double as rideable mounts. Ground, air, maybe even underwater if the devs stop giggling long enough to code it. You're not exploring, you're conquering with a posse of anime-eyed critters, cackling like a lunatic as you soar over valleys or belly flop into oceans, all while the starry sky whispers sweet nothings about your epic destiny. The plot? Something about a war-torn land and evil forces, blah blah, who cares? There's treasure and there's waifus. Black Beacon is what you'd get if H.P. Lovecraft and a Hot Topic clearance rack had a baby, then handed it a scythe and a gambling addiction. This is a top-down action RPG nightmare feel fest, cooked up by ex-Punishing Grey Raven devs, who clearly snorted too much cosmic dust and said, let's make an anime game where the universe hates you, and you're broke. You're the seer, some schmuck prophecy nerd who's basically the head librarian at the Tower of Babel, except it's not just books, it's an infinite mind-melting labyrinth of gibberish and despair. The world's gone to hell because these freaky black monoliths called beacons woke up, spewing anomalies like a busted piñata full of eldritch horrors. Ancient humans thought these things were sacred, stuffing them into temples and stained glass like they're decorating for goth Christmas, but nah, they're just portals to what the fuck dimensions that'll shred your sanity faster than a Reddit argument. It's a psychotic hack and slash fever dream think Diablo on bat cells with an isometric view that lets you watch your doom in glorious bird's eye chaos. You're chaining combos, parrying death blows, and swapping between a roster of drippy weirdos who look like they escaped a Baroque painting after a bender. Forget bright Genshin meadows, this is a gloomy Mesopotamian flavored dystopia where every character's got trauma and a wardrobe that screams, I peaked in 17th century Venice. You're not saving the world, you're just trying not to let it eat you while your squad of misfits unravels myths that'd make Cthulhu blush. Black Beacon is a gacha game for unhinged freaks who want their action fast and their lore unhinged. Chaos Zero Nightmare is what you get if Darkest Dungeon and Epic 7 had a baby, then dropped it into a blender with a fistful of Lovecraftian nightmares and a sprinkle of enemy glitter. It's a deranged post-apocalyptic mind screw cooked up by Super Creative, the Epic 7 devs, and flung into the void by Smilegate, set to crash land on PC, Android, and iOS sometime in 2025. After a delay, that probably means the devs are still sacrificing goats to perfect it. Earth's gone kaput thanks to the Chaos Zero project, some vague, edgy nonsense that forced humanity to yeet off planet like rats from a sinking ship. You're stuck in a cosmic loop RPG, which is fancy talk for you're gonna die a lot, sucker. You're commanding a squad of 3 chibified weirdos, think traumatized anime rejects with sanity meters that drop faster than your bank account on banner day, each armed with a deck of 5 cards to stab, slash, and scream their way through eldritch horrors. It's a psychic card-based clusterfuck. Turn-based strategy meets please don't break my run panic. You're juggling attack combos and skill cards while your team's losing their marbles, sanity cracking like cheap glass as the game throws gore-soaked kill animations and oops you're dead cutscenes at you. It's got that Epic 7 polish, silky 2D visuals, fluid battle animations, and a dark fantasy narrative that feels like it's on steroids. Chaos Zero Nightmare is a gacha for masochistic freaks who want their anime fixed with a side of existential dread. Duet Night Abyss is a Frankenstein's monster of Genshin Impact and Warframe, stitched together by the mad geniuses at Pan Studio and unleashed by Hero Entertainment. You're one of 2 protagonists, a dude or a chick, both so angsty they'd make a Hot Topic cashier blush, dropped into a steampunk fantasy hellhole where magic and machinery hump each other into existence. The world's a sprawling open world fever dream dripping with gothic vibes and demonic freaks begging for a bullet to the face. You're not here to save the day, no, you're here to helix jump, double dash, and parkour your way through a labyrinth of suffering, all while uncovering some convoluted truth about fate that'll make your brain bleed glitter. Combat is a deranged circus of carnage. You're flipping between melee and ranged weapons like a caffeinated ninja, swords, guns, rocket launchers, what the fuck ever, unleashing flashy combos, movement straight out of Warframe, bullet jumping, wall dashing, slamming down like a drunk meteor, all while screaming, look at me, I'm a fucking anime god! Duet Night Abyss is a gacha for psychos who want Warframe's parkour, Genshin's polish, and a side of unhinged anime chaos. Neverness to Everness is essentially Ananta without the Spider-Man acrobatics. Think more urban Genshin Impact rather than GTA or Spider-Man with a Genshin paint job. You're an appraiser, whatever the hell that means, probably just a fancy word for cosmic janitor, dropped into Hetero City, a sprawling urban landscape where the streets are crawling with anomaly freaks and the skies puking supernatural weirdness like a drunk rainbow. The world flips from sunny beaches to shadowy nightmare alleys faster than a bipolar weather app, and you're stuck right in the middle. It features fast-paced action combat where you'll chain combos and unleash Esper powers so flashy, you'll need to wear shades to survive the cutscenes. You'll drive tricked-out cars you can pimp out in a garage like a Fast and Furious reject, climb buildings with anti-gravity swagger, It's a supernatural urban acid trip. Think Zenless Zone Zero, but with more cars and less coherence. You're buying apartments to deck out with tacky furniture, managing businesses like some anime Tony Soprano, and fighting shadowy yokai that'd make Dan 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 blush. All while the plot babbles about anomalies and fate like a conspiracy theorist on a sugar high. Imagine if Gravity Rush, Genshin Impact, and a malfunctioning Kaleidoscope got smashed together and you have Project 2/3 Utopia. Picture this. You're Vertandi, some dimension-hopping weirdo with a guide named Theseus, who's probably just a GPS with data issues, flung into a multiverse blender where time and space flip between 2D and 3D like a schizophrenic cartoon. One minute you're skating on rails in a floating steampunk city called Flora. The next, you're gravity bending through a 2D side-scroller hellscape, all while rewriting the past like a drunk Time Lord with a grudge. The plot? Something about chaos, secrets, and the universe. Honestly, it's just a fancy excuse to make you fight robots and collect waifus in a world so pretty you'll want to punch it. Combat is a maniacal mashup, fast-paced action combat where you're swapping between 4 party members like a caffeine jack DJ, each with skills so flashy you'll need sunglasses. You're slashing, shooting, and stopping time to unleash a full chain beatdown that's basically your squad going feral on a boss while you cackle like a supervillain. Exploration's a fever dream, huge open worlds, interactive puzzles, and gravity-defying stunts that'd make Gravity Rush blush, all while you're dodging enemies and praying your phone doesn't overheat and explode. ReMemento White Shadow is what you get if Honkai Star Rail and Final Fantasy got drunk, hooked up in a haunted Korean basement, and burnt a turn-based RPG bastard dripping with anime swagger. You're the Warden, handpicked by fate to stumble through a gothic hellscape where witches, primordial gods, and eternal nightmares throw a cosmic tantrum. The plot's a feverish word salad, something about breaking fate's chains and chasing a pure white dawn while everything's soaked in gloom so thick you'd need a flashlight to find your own ass. It's got over 100 fully dubbed cutscenes. Imagine anime melodrama so extra it'd make Shakespeare puke, paired with a seamless world where weather shifts like a bipolar deity's mood swings, all rendered in cartoonish Unreal Engine glory that'll melt your phone if it's not a freaking S24 Ultra. It's a psychotic turn-based brawl where you hoard a squad of chibi weirdos, tanks, DPS, buffers, all with ultimate moves flashier than a K-pop concert. You're not fighting, you're juggling elemental combos and strategic PvP like a caffeinated chess grandmaster screaming, "Take that, you demonic freak!" as you auto-battle through dungeons or flex in the arena. It has a dark fantasy theme so oppressive it's like the devs mugged Edgar Allan Poe for inspiration, then slapped anime titties and steampunk goggles on it. Not that any of us are complaining. Unending Dawn is a gore-soaked love child of Genshin Impact and Elden Ring, where you're dropped into a medieval hellscape where disguised, bleeding, freaky colors, intangible nightmare beasts are clawing out of reality's asshole, and civilization's crumbled faster than a soggy taco. It's the day of Unending Dawn, which sounds like a bad hangover, but it's actually a post-apocalyptic anime fever dream. You're tracking the path of cognition, fancy talk for dodge, parry, and pray you don't get one shot. In a sprawling open world so gorgeous it'll make you want to punch a tree just to feel something real. It's a psychotic Souls-like acid trip, fast, brutal combat where you're parrying swords and countering vomit-blasting bosses like a Sekiro reject on a caffeine drip. You're slashing through knights, boars, and Lovecraftian abominations with anime flair, all while the game laughs at your puny reflexes. Unending Dawn is dark, grim, and dripping with anime got juice. Think Code Vein if it grew a spine and ditched the training wheels. Unreal Engine 5 makes it look so good that you'll forgive the lag spikes. 15 FPS on a bad day will rip your battery. And the story is a cryptic mess about fate, curses, and hope that's probably just a shiny sword that you'll never be able to afford. Wang Yue is what we got after Genshin Impact and Tears of the Kingdom got drunk at a Chinese mythology rave, swapped spit, and burnt a screaming moon-obsessed freak show. Ting Wu is some ancient schmuck with a pulse who's been yeeted into a modern fantasy hellscape where the sun's gone psycho and flipped the world upside down literally. There's an hourglass-shaped fever dream of a map. Down below you've got meadows and dragons begging for a fire spell to the face. Up top, a neon-drenched city hangs in the sky like a disco ball on a bender, mocking gravity and your sanity. 9 world suns are screwing with reality, and you're stuck watching the moon. That's what Wang Yue means. While chasing a sunset journey that's probably just a fancy way of saying kill everything and cry about it later. It's a psychotic smorgasbord, fast-paced action combat where you're juggling a squad of 3 anime weirdos, chaining combos like a breakdancer and breaking enemies with a glass shatter stun that's so satisfying you'll giggle like a lunatic. You're double jumping, you're dodging, you're countering in midair, all while the game dares you to keep up. Exploration is a total mindfuck. Stack crap to climb, drive souped-up cars you built from scratch, or soar in DIY aircrafts that it makes Zelda blush. Blasting foes from the sky like a steampunk Tony Stark. crash into shit, piss off the city guards, and peel out GTA style while cackling, because why not? It's a modern Chinese fantasy acid trip. Think flipped cities, mythical suns, and a soundtrack that'll have you headbanging while you sob into your ramen. It's got creatures roaming the streets, a vehicle customizer so wild it's like playing Legos on crack, and AI-generated side quests that promise infinite chaos. Or infinite disappointment, depending on how buggy they get. And that is it. If you're not a little tingly downstairs at the sight of some of those games, then I really don't know what to tell you. 2025 probably ain't the year for you. Hey, where do you think you're going? I see what you're doing there. I see you navigating on over, scrolling on over to that X button. Don't you dare. What I need you to do is take a moment and click one of the videos that are about to appear as soon as I'm done talking. And trust me, you're gonna wanna.